What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is a Tuesday night. I am the voice of reason, Kevin Pillow, at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. He is JR Kambakungan, the Dark King, aka DK. What's up, my friend?
Yo, what's up, man? How you been? How you been?
Well, I'm trying to get these headphones dialed in. They're getting a little done a little bit too much gaming, I think, lately, and I think I may have. I think my headphones have worn out their welcome. So,
hey, man, happens all the time. Happens the best of us. Happens the best of us, my dude.
But yeah, maybe that made it better. I think the old PlayStation 5 controller was causing some interference. There we go.
Well, yeah, it's a Bluetooth thing. So, like, on the top of that, man, like, how has your PS5 going experience been?
I will say this.
Yeah,
I am by and to answer your question, no. I did not get your notes, but that could be because I was right before you logged in. I was frantically trying to get the interference with my headphones and found out it was the PS5 controller. So while I do that, while I load up our Discord, which, by the way, if you want an invite to our Discord chat, and as people begin to hopefully start filing in here, I know some of you guys are kind of late when you get the alerts on our social media accounts. And plus, it's a Tuesday, so I know that some of you guys may see this live. Some of you may see this or hear this at a later time, and we appreciate, by the way, get a lot of feedback from people seeing our stuff at a later date on Twitch, especially. So they're liking the Twitch. Had a lot of people watching soccer over the weekend. Really appreciate that. I know with the World Cup kind of at the forefront, and really, and this kind of ties into what Jared asked. He asked how my PS5 experience has been going.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing video games since I was probably 10 years old.
Yeah,
old school NES guy. I was a diehard cartridge guy. I died on that. I died on that vine. Died on that hill. Shoot, through high school, I was all about the Nintendo 64. I thought it was the best system. I still contend to this day that the Nintendo 64 is pound for pound one of the greatest video game systems of all time.
I'll give you that.
And where would it be, JR?
The very bottom. Not there?
It's not there, dude.
Really? Okay, sure. So, 1 second.
Either way.
Yeah.
While JR figure this is why we do live, so we can have these opportunities to just be live. I will say this. I think I've said this on the previous broadcast, and I will say this again. That the PS5 controller.
Yeah.
This thing right here.
Yeah, is it?
Is it worth $80? No.
It's $70. This should be $80. Is it?
It's $79.99.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, they're expensive.
It should be the same price.
Found
as
the
a
purple
video
one
game.
for $40 on Amazon. It was a smoking deal. They ran them the week of Thanksgiving, not even a Black Friday. It was pre-Thanksgiving sale. This is the one that came with the system.
Mhm.
Pound for pound, the best gaming controller ever made. I know people will disagree. Now, that's me saying that, having never been an aftermarket controller kind of guy. I'm
Uh-huh.
not one that goes on and buys the Modern Warfare 2 custom made, some dude in freaking Atlanta customize it where you hit the R button and it's like it like launches 42,000 bullets per second. I'm not. This is purely off the rack, stock controller made by the main manufacturer.
Okay. Yeah.
It is pound for
Mhm.
pound, in my opinion, the best
Yeah.
controller on the market
100%. 100%. I'll
of
give you
any
that.
of the major um the major systems to have come out. Now I've got here within arm's reach.
Uh-huh.
I just realized I had this in reverse order here. Yeah, I lined. No, never mind. I have the PS3 all the way to the right. Okay.
Mhm.
Hold on. Continue. I'm opening up my that document here.
Yeah. I will say that. Go ahead.
This is the old PS3 controller. Basically
Mhm.
the same, almost the same thing as the PlayStation 2 controller. Not bad for its time. PlayStation 4, not bad, not very durable.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I'm throwing my controllers anymore across the room.
Mhm.
No rage quitting in this office.
Mhm.
But I really like this one because it's USB-C, so it's a quick charge.
Yep.
It also has the dock for the docking system, so it has the secondary charging port. It does have the ability to do a wired headphone set. It is
Mhm.
Bluetooth. You do have the remote control. I'm sorry, the auto microphone button, the mute button
Yep.
here if you're using a
Audio mic, accessories, the
the
stuff. It's great. It's a great
yeah,
freaking feature. It's a great feature, I gotta say.
and the quick access here to the streaming button. That whole feature is a lot better. And I know that's not a controller, that's more of a total system.
Yeah.
But the ability to
Hmm.
just instantaneous live
Yeah.
stream. By the way, brought it back because it disappeared on PlayStation 4. Was they brought back the ability to stream to YouTube? Now that went
Yeah.
away because YouTube,
The rights for
well,
it was gone in PS4.
you
There was a bunch of
couldn't.
stuff.
Yeah, YouTube has gotten very, very strict, or got very, very strict about streamers. And they basically, you had to have like at least 100,000 followers on YouTube to be able to live stream. Now, I I can understand that to an extent. That bandwidth and server crashing and stuff like that, server problems. If you have, I mean, you gotta think. There's at least what 20. I'm just saying rough number. At least 20 million regular subscribers or users of YouTube on any given day. That's based on
Way
a
more.
Marvel movie
Yeah.
getting 20 million views. So there's probably more than that. And if every person had the ability to live stream, there would be a ton of problems.
Yeah.
And just with content being streamed out there, but you'd have server issues. So I get keeping it to just 100,000 subs for you to be able to live stream like that. But now you have Twitch, who anybody, my kids could get a Twitch account.
Yeah.
But Twitch understands, hey, the only way we're going to grow as a brand is if we get our brand out there, and that's what they're doing. So,
well, I
that's
feel
my
like
little
too.
rant. So.
Yeah, I still feel like too. Like it's gotten better now. I know that in later years, specifically the PS4 era, where streaming on YouTube was not the Wild West per se, but more so just like it was more. You had to jump through a lot more hurdles in order to get to like just to basically stream. While Twitch was much more easier to do so. Like it was like before it was called Twitch, it was called Justin TV. Right, that's how far back that I've seen the site.
What was it used to be called?
Justin TV.
Oh,
Justin
is that
TV.
what that used to be?
Yes, it was. It was because I originally remember Justin TV because an old school podcast / like gaming I guess news group, right? A bunch of friends called four player podcast, I think. OG of the OGs for like that. Like they won the original like streaming awards way back when, or podcast awards for streaming for gaming. Relevancy and gaming news, but that was like 10 years ago or so. So that's how I knew Justin.tv and how it became Twitch and how it became this huge and numerous thing that is today. Now because YouTube's trying to get back into the space of like, oh no, let's get these gamers again, right? Let's get because like when you think about it too, like when it comes to gaming and YouTube, like they didn't even really need a stream because they had PewDiePie for the longest time. They had Markiplier. They have all these dudes and all these girls, all these streamers or all these video game content creators where they didn't need to broadcast and live cast for hours on end. It wasn't until it was a marketable thing for Twitch where like they found out like, oh, okay, no, this is actually a good thing. You want concurrent viewers. We want, instead of like one video doing maybe 1 million, maybe more, averaging about 4 or 5 million views, right? Every 2-3 days, you get 70K viewers or anywhere between 1K to 70K viewers for 14 hours straight. Yeah, that's a lot of ad revenue. That's a lot of money per se. And so I understand now that YouTube wants to tap into that market, or has been tapping market by like getting these bigger name streamers to Tim the Tatman, Dr. Lupo, Valkyrae from a while ago, like all these big streamers that was once Twitch users now hopping onto the YouTube bandwagon. And like it's great now that we have that there is a much more ethical or much more what's we're looking for, not a battleground per se, but like it's competitive, right? The streaming platforms are competitive now, and YouTube is a great source, especially when Twitch is keep on freaking fumbling the bag per se, right? Where they're talking about 50-50 cuts and all this stuff. We talked about this prior podcast, and like how now it's easier. Basically, it's easier to get noticed on Twitch because like the bigger streamers are going away, but at the same time, it's like it's still it's still a struggle, it's still a grind per se. As for me though, going back on the PS4 the controller per se, yes, I do believe that this controller is the best controller. Granted, I will probably get the Pro edition of this controller, which comes out in January. I know that
there's a new one. There is a new one coming out.
Yeah, I know that people are always been talking about like the SCUF controllers or like the
that's what I was looking for. The SCUF controllers, which
they're the Pro S controllers. I know that that Xbox has come out with their own SCUF controller per se, and I know that PlayStation is somewhat trying to do the same now. But granted, instead of paying it is $70. I just checked, it is $70. Granted, the one that we have, right? If you're like these nice colorways, right? The red, I think you got the black. There's a blue one too. Those are like $5 more.
Yeah, it's a midnight blue.
Those
purple.
I
waited. I wanted this one. This one.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hey, I've dropped mine so many times, bro. They're sturdy.
That was like a freaking direct hit.
Bro, I dropped mine so many times. They're sturdy.
Yeah. So this one I got on Amazon. It's a straight from the Sony store on Amazon. So don't go like, oh, you bought an Amazon one. It's piece of shit. It's freaking it's an aftermarket. I'm like, no. I did my research.
Sony.
It's straight from Sony's website. It was distributed by Sony through an Amazon. So it's not like it's not like Acme Toys out of New Jersey.
Regardless, you're getting it from Sony, and it's those ones, new colorways is $75. I think the one that I want to get is like 120 something, right? And it's pretty pricey. It's like basically 2 video games nowadays too. And kind of actually going into the topics, man. Granted per se,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh God, what number is this anyway? Episode, right? We haven't really been keeping up with the numbers per se. I know my boy here has been trying to do so, but like we just kind of missed a bunch of stuff. I even my listing with all of the things that we missed. There's some stuff that I just remember now we've missed. I'm pretty sure I will forget during the conversation of the show and topics, right? But granted, also I will say best controller I've ever played on.
Yeah.
And I played on like Xbox controllers too. The PS4 controller though, I will say the worst because the amount of I have gone through so many PS4 controllers because of like just playing, I think the only game I played on PS4 religiously, right? Like over, I like instead of playing the tentpole games like God of War and all those, right? I pick up God of War for like 3-4 days, finish it, and I'm done with it the rest of my life until I want to go back to it because like I want like if God of War Ragnarok, which did come out, which I am playing,
which I got.
Which is great, right?
A friend of mine had a digital copy, and
Yep.
he hooked me up. Appreciate it.
So
shout out to real quick. Shout out to my buddy Ernie, hooking up a brother. God of War Ragnarok. I'm gonna get around to it. I want to do about 1 or 2 more seasons with FIFA. But yeah, shout out to Ernie. He's a follower.
But yeah, going basically what did I say again? Yeah, going from controller to controller, like the games I played with probably like Modern Warfare, right? Warzone, which is a heavy big thing. And so I would just the sticks, basically, the dead zones on these freaking sticks would die out. And so like I would go through like I legit 4 or 5 controllers for PS4, and those were pricey too. Yeah. And so going from like 4 or 5 controllers on PS4 to like maybe 2 controllers now with this, right? Great. I love it. Thank you. They finally listened. Granted, the drift 2, the stick drift on the PS5 is pretty apparent as well for like franchise games, but then hopefully that gets averted with the new Pro controller that Sony will release in January. But going to our news and notes, man, there is a lot of stuff that we missed.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we missed. I'm pretty sure there's again stuff that I haven't really touched upon yet, man. But like, oh good God, there's a lot of trailers that released too, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Looking at this, we have Avatar: The Way of the Water, starring Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Kate Winslet, directed by James Cameron. Of course, this is the long-awaited sequel to the 2008 smash hit Avatar, aka the bastard child of World of Warcraft, Fern Gully, and something else. And
it's basically Dances with Wolves, but with blue people.
That's it. So it was a cross between like Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully, and the like shaman level of like World of Warcraft. I remember when I first watched, we did a screening at Best Buy when I worked there, and which I know is not legal, but we didn't charge anybody for it. And I remember a bunch of us that were gamers got up. First off, there were the people that were the child of the 80s that were watching it and are like, this looks awfully familiar. And then when they were dealing with that scene with the bulldozers and stuff, we're like, oh my gosh, it's Fern Gully. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go Google it, go on IMDb and check it out. But it's it was okay. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna go. I'll see the second one, but this is the long-awaited. So many rumors about this movie. I was actually talking to a guy that I work with about this, who's, as he called it, when's my Blue People movie coming out? At one point, James Cameron wanted to have 10 of these movies made by now. He did an interview recently with Vanity Fair, I believe, or he said I believe has enough content in the can to produce, I think, up to 5 movies. He has, the second one is done. It comes out a week from Friday. I think he says he has pretty much 3 and 4 done. Just needs to do, might have to do some reshoots and some editing, and then he says he has enough extra content to basically do a 5th movie, but he's got to film more stuff. So
Yeah, it's kind of a weird, like, I forgot, it was either you or someone else said, like, the amount of money that's already been put into this freaking movie, like, it's in order for it to gain in order for them to gain back some type of revenue, it'll be like some insane amount of number, man. Like, I've already heard like some reviews about it, or some early pre-screening of it, of like people saying that it is a visual masterpiece, quote unquote. We'll see this when we get there. I'm not gonna watch it. I don't intend to watch this in movies. I intend to watch it when it comes out, inevitably on Disney Plus. And it's just, again, I know we had the same comment too when when we talked about it, I think a month or so prior to this, right? It was like when the original first trailer came out, I'm like, it looks cool, but it looks dated as hell for me, right? But I understand this ideal of like history having to quote unquote repeat itself when it comes to good themes, right? I'm trying to, hey, you have to, respect the earth, and you have to respect the native people, and it's this blood, like we've seen, like, I understand that people are saying we've seen the story over and over again. Yeah, we have. Those of us who've lived long enough, and this story might not be for us anymore. It's been 12 freaking years, man. And so it might be for the young kids coming up that might, want to question about, what questions about the world, what are the questions about native people, and what are questions about, like, wants to be one with the earth and all that stuff, man. And so I understand why these stories need to be told, but like, damn, bro, it's like every time I see more and more of like this, like the stuff that I've seen, it's kind of twofold for me. Like, damn, like, we really that stupid? You expect us to be really you expect us to be really that stupid, right? Like, it's also intelligence. But at the same time, like, damn, we really are that stupid, because like you look at the political climate and you look at everything else, I'm like, oh yeah, we're really that fucking stupid. We need to be reminded every now and then to say, hey, stop fucking up the world. It's only one of people, like one of us, like the natives, of the natives of a certain land. Like, maybe they got a right to it way more than those who've come to quote unquote take over. But yeah, it's this ongoing discussion of humanity, and I get it. I'm not gonna watch it because, one, it feels like 12 years too late for me, because
yeah,
that's the thing. Like,
that's
that's the
kind of
biggest thing.
And who knows? Sorry
Like,
to interject.
hmm,
I think that in the long run, maybe we'll get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. The
yeah,
nostalgia,
yeah,
it's the sequel. It's not going to be awful.
yeah.
It's going to be fun. Hear me out on this though.
Mm-hmm.
Look at James Cameron's track record as not just a director, okay, but a pioneer. And I underline it a million times.
Mm-hmm.
Pioneer in pushing the envelope on
Visual fidelity.
visual effects.
Okay.
Look at his first movie, Abyss. He made a movie back in the 80s where he was able to mold water, to make faces, and to go around corners and to do things that today we still can't get right. And he did it in the 80s. Then you watch Terminator 1. Just a absolutely amazing film. And then there's T2, which broke every freaking rule known to man. Changed the game. The cop.
T1000.
What? Not even the
Yeah,
T1000. The T2000. The
yeah,
liquid metal guy.
yeah.
That whole thing, like, I remember when I saw that movie for the
Visual
first time
effects.
all the way through.
Uh-huh.
Like, holy shit! Avatar changed the game with 3D effects. But what I noticed in the trailer, the very first trailer, one of the things that Hollywood has never, ever been able to do right. Now, James Cameron made his mark with filming a movie in water, Titanic. And he always said he would never go near water again. This movie, obviously, it is named
Yeah.
The
Way of
Water.
water.
And a lot of the movie takes place underwater. If you look at the track record of Hollywood, what is something they have sucked at doing? Making a movie that's underwater. One of the Achilles heel to Aquaman, a movie that was supposed to be 99% underwater, was it just looked kind of lame underwater. Black Panther Wakanda Forever did a little bit better, but its Achilles heel was that its Achilles heel was it sucked underwater.
Yeah.
Now, are you saying that it sucked altogether or just that part?
Just the underwater part. Well,
Okay.
there's a lot of we'll talk about that later, eventually. Yeah.
But I will say that he is, and I've seen some documentaries, some behind the scenes footage of what he did to get the underwater things. I'm hoping he can fix Hollywood.
The underwater bit and scenario was like, the reason why for me, I understand why the reason for using the underwater bits suck in Hollywood. One, you're talking about using electrical equipment under fucking water. Already, understandably so, you're gonna be. He nearly drowned like 3 of his actors during Abyss. That was one conversation too that we could have later on.
He's known for pushing his actors.
Pushing is one thing. Drowning your guy 1,000 feet under the sea is another. I forgot who it was. I forgot who's the actor. I think it was Vigo. Was Vigo part of it, or was
shit?
It was who did it? I think it was it was Dr. Hammond, who played he was in Jurassic Park 1 and the more recent one.
Was Sam Neill in that?
Sam Neill, so. Yeah. I forgot who it was, but he was talking about like, yeah, he had an actor literally like not 1,000 feet in the sea, but like they were far under the sea, had to like travel, he had to brave underwater ocean in order to get from one point to another under one breath. It's like, bro, it's so yeah. There's understandably so difficulties with filming underwater because you're underwater. You're under obviously. Just going on to the point to go back to my point where like I feel like it's 12 years too late. It has the effect of like what Tron and Tron Legacy was to me. It's like, cool, Tron happened. Tron Legacy, did you really need to wait, 10, 20 years to do Legacy? Granted, I love seeing, at the time, Olivia Wilde, who was fairly unknown to me. And so that was a great movie. But granted, like it should have been done a long time ago. I feel like that's my thought process with Way of Water is like, if you should have not strike when the oil is hot, but more so is like I'm not invested in the story anymore type of thing. It's like it was very when the original Avatar came through, it was like it was very, to me it felt very much like a very solely whole movie where the guy who came quote unquote colonizer who came to colonize the planet figured out that that colonizers are bad, and then he went with the natives, very much so akin to Dances with the Wolves. And so it's like, yeah, cool. I thought it was gonna be a one-off, but no, they want to make a second, third, fourth movie when those Inklings came about, and like, you wait 12 years, my guy. You wait 12 years regardless of like, I understand features and effects and all that, like 12 years after being bought out by a company and having all these things, like, all right, we'll see how it goes. It feels like I'm happy that Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana will get credit for it. I did, the trailer though kind of states a little bit differently. I feel like the trailer itself spoiled a little bit too much because you notice that some people that were there in the beginning trailer aren't there at the end, and so yeah, there's that whole deal. Now moving on, my guy.
Okay, so the story goes, it's the character, one of the characters in the movie, The Abyss. There's a scene where she drowns, and Ed Harris is the main character, is able to revive her. They said that one of the folklores, and it's never been disproven, nor it's never been proven, is that the folklore around the movie is that the character actually drowned during the scene, the filming of the scene, and that Ed Harris, whose character was supposed to revive her in the movie, actually had to revive her because she had drowned in the movie. Obviously, for insurance reasons, they can't say, "Oh yeah, it happened." They would be freaking sued out of their mind.
Yeah, obviously.
Also, it should be noted that the reason the movie, if you notice, I don't believe the movie has ever been released on Blu-ray or DVD, is because they have no high definition version of the film. Now, for those people don't realize, they technically have been filming in high def, quote unquote, for years. I mean, technically, they filmed Wizard of Oz in 1939 in high def. You just had no way of showing it. And so I guess this movie was so revolutionary that they actually don't have any high definition version of it because they had to spend so much money on other stuff. Just thought that was interesting. But I was looking up the story. I remember hearing about that story, and I wanted to make sure I got it right. And that's
you
what
saw,
it was.
yeah. Like there was you had to have the guy basically had to train himself to hold his breath in the water for like minutes on end, and there's one thing for me where cool you have strings attached. If you have an actor do these crazy insane stunts in the middle of the air, a la fucking Tom Cruise, that's one thing. To have to know for sure that if you don't hold your breath for longer than a minute, you could possibly drown 1,000 feet underwater. Yeah, that's another thing. And so tangent aside, man, just like for those gonna watch Water, cool. I know that you're gonna watch it, so somehow it is. I'll just wait till it comes on. I'll watch it till it comes out. On Disney
I probably will end up watching it on
Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I'd love to go see it in the theater. I'm not going to go out of my way to go see it in the theater, but yeah. Real quick, moving along. I don't have the trailer for the what's it called? The latest the movie Avatar that we're just talking about. Duh, Kevin.
Yeah.
But what I do have is the trailer coming up here in just a second. Let me just give me 1 second. I gotta get back to my screen here. Where did it go? Bear with me. I'm trying to multitask here. I'm gonna try to bring it up here. This is one thing we will do every once in a while is JR and I will forego making any money on a video, and we'll play copyright content. We can't not.
You gotta pause every other minute, so we gotta talk about it, like in order for us to get the.
It's like every 30 seconds, but we're not gonna do that to you guys. So we're gonna let it be known. And
yes, we are. What the hell are you talking about? Yes, we are.
What's that?
No, go ahead. Go.
No, what were you saying?
No, yes, we are. What the hell are you talking about? Yes, we are gonna pause it every 30 freaking seconds because we're gonna talk about Chris Pratt's fucking horrible accent. But yeah, let's go.
Okay, well, we will do that then. Let's do this here. Let me see if I can do. Hold on. Maybe I can see if I can bring it out of another. I have to bring it out of another screen here so I can record. Okay.
Play it, dude. You're good.
We don't own the rights to this movie. Just let it know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, so we're 30 seconds in, and yes,
about right.
Okay,
about how it goes,
I didn't catch it the first time. His accent's not very good. I know we hear it later, and he does do the. You'll hear it.
Yeah,
and I think he did a pretty good job. But okay, I heard it. Like, let's go. Tell me you're still not going to go see this movie, though.
I'm going to go watch the movie, but I'm going to cringe like a mofo during the whole thing. Because, like, I forgot the original voice actor's name that has been voicing Mario for the last, like, 30-plus years now or something.
Who is a white guy and not Italian.
Yes, he was a white guy and Italian, but at the same time, it's like this is what you pay for type of stuff. Like, you can get that guy at least do it. So.
And I think, too, let me see. The voice of Mario, who's been doing it for years, is not the original.
Yeah. But the current one that's been doing it.
Yeah, the voice of Mario is and I have actually reached out to him to try to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Charles Martinet.
Yep.
He has been doing the voice of Mario and Luigi in every Mario Brothers video game since 1992. He is also the voice of other characters in the series, such as Wario, Waluigi, Baby Mario, and Baby Luigi.
Of course it is.
Shocker. Okay, let's go for another 30 seconds here.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the button, kid.
Oh my God. Okay.
Not sure if you know who I am, but I'm about to rule the world.
Wow, yay.
But there's one problem. There's a human, has a mustache, just like you.
Do you think I know every human being with a mustache wearing an identical outfit with a hat with the letter of his first name on it? Because I don't.
Okay, now, do you have a problem with Charlie Day playing Luigi?
Yes. Because hear me out. I'm coming from the standpoint of like, my childhood nostalgia come back at me, right?
Yeah.
That's like inevitably that's all we're gonna come back to. Like, what is childhood nostalgia to y'all? These motherfuckers don't sound like Mario and Luigi to me. Granted, like I can definitely look past that because like it's just awesome to see a Mario Bros movie. But the one thing too that kind of irritated me was more so Toad's voice. Toad's is like gnarly ass, like really raspy voice. I don't know who plays Toad in it, man. Like it's such a departure. It's such a departure from Toad. Granted, like I probably wouldn't like hearing the same raspy Toad voice for the next hour and whatever minutes, whatever the movie goes for. But like, it would be like having. I don't know. It would be like having.
Toad is Keegan-Michael Key. Keegan-Michael Key.
Really? Peel?
So here's the actors list. Chris Pratt is playing Mario. Anya Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach.
Yeah.
Charlie Day is Luigi. Jack Black is Bowser, I'm 120% okay with.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Keegan-Michael Key is Toad. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. Fred Armisen is Cranky Kong. Sebastian Maniscalco is Spike. Charles Martinet is in the movie with an undisclosed character.
He just should do all the voices, man. Just have I can understand Chris Pratt playing the main lines and just have Charles do like the lines and the sounds that Mario has been known for entirety of his vocal career. Like that's my thing. It will probably be easy for me to get over because I got over Sonic pretty easily too, right? When Sonic's voice initially came out, like I didn't really expect Sonic to sound like that. But actually, I think wasn't Sonic's voice actor the same voice actor from the original like animated series? Let me see.
No, I think it was different. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was different. Growing up with not only with the
Bowser is coming. Together, we are going to stop that monster.
How? Look at us. We're adorable.
Oh, I got this. No problem. Yes!
Come on, Mario! Our big adventure begins now!
Get it off!
I will say I love all the little subtle references throughout the Mario Brothers. Not just the main games, but like everything they've been in. I'm actually really, really kind of getting geeked for this movie. I get why they have Chris Pratt and they went with a quote unquote all-star cast. And again, we're seeing the trailer.
Yeah.
They did these recording sessions, and you may have the director go back and say, you know what, Chris, dude, you need to let's almost like overdo it a little bit because Mario was almost a little over the top, and I get this is the same people that do that are doing the Minions and Despicable Me and stuff like that. So it's there is that kind of layer of sarcasm and kind of random humor that kind of like that, like you said, that you're
trying to go for appeal. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're trying to go for appeal anyway too. And like, granted, like them getting Anya Taylor-Joy, that's a great get. Chris Pratt, yes, understandably so. I'm gonna watch the movie. That's it. I just want to see how it is. Like, maybe it's just me not trying to get over my nostalgia of like, I don't know. Well, granted, I will say this: watching the live action Super Mario Bros., I'm much more hopeful for this movie.
So
John Leguizamo as Luigi. I don't know. So
see, here's my problem with the Super Mario Brothers movie in '93.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as Mario and Luigi, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, that's not bad.
It's not.
But the problem is they went a completely different direction.
They went super cyberpunk.
They went very cyberpunk, Total Recall. And but in their defense, that's what was kind of big in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
But you're coming off the cartoonish.
They went dystopian cyberpunk. It was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're coming off the Super Mario Brothers Super Show with Captain Lou Albano and Danny Wells, who played Luigi, who I'm sure none of you are going to know who Danny Wells is, and he was just a kind of a bit actor. But Captain Lou Albano, of course, of the WWF fame, he's a WWF Hall of Famer. Actually, I thought played Mario pretty well. You had that, and then of course he voiced the character in the original 80s cartoon, so that's who I knew. Bob Hoskins, who I knew from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, having him. If you had put the two of them in a red and green jumpsuit or overalls and still kind of did the cyberpunk, but the problem is there was no correlation to the video game. It was almost
who played these characters? Who played Princess Peach in that movie? It was in 1993, and I'm trying to just remember like what was the quote unquote meta of '93? Action hero stars.
Well, here's the thing:
bigger than life type of thing.
The character, the main protagonist, female protagonist, his character's name is Daisy.
Was Daisy instead of Peach? Really?
Yeah, Daisy.
Daisy in there. So Daisy was supposedly Daisy was Luigi's love interest per se, right? I think it was
Samantha Mathis was the actress's name, who of course from Broken Arrow, American Psycho, Pump Up the Volume. She was also in the show Billions, Law and Order, just name a few stuff most recently. Trying to think of what she was in back in the day. She was in she was Frank Castle's wife in the Thomas Jane Punisher. Okay, that's who I wrote. Okay, I like her. And of course Dennis Hopper was King Koopa.
That was an interesting get for the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Great casting. Imagine 1993, and they do Koopa as they do it a little bit more campy. It's live action, but it's CGI, which I know CGI '93 was a little lackluster.
Was it really CGI? I mean, like when you have this small.
No, he was dressed up as he was a guy. He was like a mob boss.
Small Koopa heads on like the tops of that was big different. Burly.
That was bad.
With like greaser jackets and okay, interesting. But anyways,
Koopa was almost like a mob boss.
Yeah,
Dennis Hopper doing the voice of King Koopa. I'm on board because I think he could have nailed it, but him just playing basically a generic 90s mob boss and named King Koopa, it didn't work. But anyways, moving right along, here we go.
There's a huge universe out there With a lot of galaxies.
There we go. Look at
They're all
the little
counting on
dinosaur.
us. No pressure.
Okay, so this is the climax of the. That was a great way to stop right there.
Just finish. No, just finish the whole thing. Finish the whole thing.
All right, so here we go. This was like I geeked over this scene. And of course, for those who don't know, Illumination is, of course, like we said before, was
I like my barefoot Pinot Grigio like I like my football season.
We don't care about you. Well, I do. I like the actor. What's the name? But it is made by the same people that made, like I said before, Minions and Despicable Me, and so on and so forth. Other than Chris Pratt's terrible Italian accent. And potentially Charlie Day's, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch the movie for it being a Super Mario Bros movie, and so they're looking like all the greatest hits, right? Looking like it's a little bit of Super Mario Galaxy, looking a lot of like what's called the Super Mario Karts, right? Mario Karts, Super Mario Karts,
Mario Kart.
It looking like maybe a little bit of Super Smash as well. So that it looks cool. It looks interesting. It got the basic hits and all that stuff. And so, I mean, granted, I'm a go in it with like just a love of like cool. Let's go have fun with it. I'm gonna have the exact same thoughts of like when I initially was going to watching Sonic, right? So trying to keep open mind. I get that that Nintendo want to get in the in crowd with the Western people, right? And so they got Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, they got a bunch of people, and so hey man, they just gave the Illumination, the studio, kind of like free range to say, hey, just make a good movie. That's it. So I'm cool. I'm cool with it. Chris Pratt, I love him as an actor. I don't know how I feel yet about him being about Mario, and so we'll see after the movie for me, man. But
yeah, the movie does come out next summer, and well, let's not stop there. Since I figured if we're gonna get copyrighted, let's go big or go home. Yep, that's right. You see the big letters. You know what they say.
Yep.
So yeah, Super Mario Brothers releases next spring. I apologize, April 7th, 2023. Again, like JR said, Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, Jack Black, and more. Of course, Keegan was it Keegan Bradley Key? That was his Keegan
Michael Key.
Keegan Michael Key. Like you said, it's going to be a smart alecky slapstick version of Super Mario Brothers, but I still think it's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick before we get into some Marvel stuff, including some comments made by Quentin Tarantino, let's show you the latest trailer. Now, we could play 2 or 3 more trailers. Just to note, we did finally see a trailer for Indiana Jones 5.
That's right.
We can save that. Maybe we'll save that for one of our stuff coming up this weekend. We did also get a couple more scenes in kind of a best of Ant-Man kind of amalgamation. They did see a few new scenes, but not much in the form of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That was pretty much it. But this was the biggie because I think a lot of people have this circled on their bingo card for 2023. And that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was a very emotional. This is probably outside of Black Panther. This was probably one of the more emotional
as trailers.
More emotionally as trailers. Now, I don't even know for sure if this trailer is the yeah. Anyway, so this is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the official trailer released early last week.
I think so. Yeah.
And we'll do the same thing. We'll break it.
We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians. Hello, we come in peace. Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude? No!
All right. Signature, what's his name? James Gunn kind of humor.
Yeah.
Just not giving a shit. I love that when he throws the ball at the little kid.
Yeah.
What do you? This is the first thing that jumped out at me. Being a comic book fan,
Mhm.
the first thing that jumped out at me, the very comic book accurate costumes. The Guardians costumes have all been kind of free range, with the exception of the final scene in Guardians 1. They've never really had a unified uniform. So they are wearing the symbol of the Guardians. Some will say it's the Ravager logo. But and of course we'll explain next or this weekend, if we've got time to do our MCU Phase 4, we'll talk about what we know now about the Guardians in correlation with the Ravagers / a few other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything else from that opening? What do you think?
No, not yet. Just keep going.
Don't forget where we came from.
We have been running our whole lives.
Pete, I'm done running.
By the way, now that I think about it, the more I hear the song, I think this is a version of the Comic-Con trailer, because I believe this song they used in the trailer at Comic-Con. Yeah, I think I'm almost positive. Now that I've heard it, I've watched this a couple of times. I think this is the Comic-Con trailer, and I just still don't know what the scene was that made everybody cry. It could be the baby
hand grasping, possibly, most likely, yeah.
We'll all fly away together. One last time. Into the forever and beautiful sky.
Okay, so there's our first look at your boy, Adam Warlock.
Yep.
Character we thought that would appear in all the way back in like phase 1, phase 2. That he was when we knew that things were lining up towards the Infinity Gauntlet, we were going to get to see Adam Warlock. They obviously are doing a different direction with the Mind Stone. What do you think of?
He looks good.
Look,
overall, he looks good, man. He looks good. I was kind of hoping they would go with the golden skin, like they should have, man. But he looks good.
And they do still have the stone in his head. It's not the Mind Stone.
Yeah, it's interesting how they didn't have the Mind Stone in his head. So maybe, possibly, that will happen inevitably.
I think they said that I think someone had told me that in the comic books, after Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War, the comic books, that because much like Vision does in Infinity War, he has the stone ripped out of his head, not by Thanos, but it's removed. In the comic books, it's removed in the comic books. I believe the Mind Stone is removed from Adam Warlock's head in a similar fashion.
It was his evil self, I think. Yeah, because because I think that there's an evil version of himself in the future, so I think called Magnus or something. I think
that's right. There's an evil Adam Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so there, I do know that Adam Warlock does have that signature stone in his head. So maybe James Gunn will explain. Maybe this stone has, and you know, the other thing too to take into consideration is this the Adam that we saw hinted at the end of Guardians 2? But we also deal with the multiverse. This could be an Adam Warlock from an alternate timeline that does have the Mind Stone still in his head, but it does not look like it. It looks like he just has some kind of gem in his forehead. So.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
I will say this time and time again. Allow Dave Bautista just to be Dave Bautista. Let him be the essence of Groot, or I'm sorry, of Drax. I do still think that I know that the broader audience will disagree with me on this. They should have made a Drax origin story for Disney Plus.
Instead of the thing that we got, it should have been a Drax origin.
The holiday special, which we'll get to later this week, it has its pluses, it has its minuses. I think it's mostly a miss, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
All in all, the trailer looks good. The movie looks great. Again, I'm always like, okay, what is James Gunn going to do with the soundtrack? And I have heard that song before, but it's not on a playlist. It's not, I don't have it downloaded. Just that cut alone. Okay. You have my $15, you have my $20, whatever. Again, James Gunn, one of the most hands-on, one of the most creative directors in the game. And it shows with his selection of music, which is usually handled by somebody else. In this case, he handles all the music selection for his movie. And if that song ends up in the movie, great.
It's kind of like, again, like if you're a fan of like James Gunn and hear like his mainstay movies, specifically the Guardian Galaxy movies as well, series, as well as the recent The Suicide Squad, music does play a heavy part into a lot of his stuff, man. And so great, like it's always been a good balance of that, and so I'm not surprised. It's, as a fan though, the whole way through, seeing this current run or seeing the old stable of Guardians of the Galaxy as is now, it's going to be sad inevitably when, like, you know, we're gonna be missing a couple of them, man. There's some spoilery things about the trailer too that I hope. I think that might be the last trailer I'll watch of Guardians of the Galaxy, and
I probably me too.
There was a lot of spoilery things in there that people can probably pinpoint to, man. But like right now, it's gonna suck possibly not seeing Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Karen Gillian. Definitely Dave Bautista is gone. You know, just to think about that, that Marvel has Bradley Cooper in their stable of actors, and possibly he's gone too. And so it's definitely gonna suck. Maybe it's gonna be take a different direction when the whole thing's said and done with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Maybe, you know, James Gunn is gonna throw something else in there. Is he gonna do press now for the movie? Maybe not. But overall, I'm just hoping that a lot of the stable of the series, they go off and, you know, their sunsets of like after the series, man.
And I think it will be too, because the way James Gunn's contract, from what I understand, I'm not a entertainment lawyer by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even play one on TV. Is obviously Marvel Entertainment owns the rights to the characters.
Yeah,
Marvel Studios owns the right to put the characters on the big screen. But from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I very well could be wrong, is that James Gunn has some kind of creative control over how the characters are portrayed on screen. And he was given final cut to make volume 3. It is a far gone conclusion that Drax, probably Nebula,
Mm-hmm.
probably Gamora,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say probably Rocket, which
Yeah.
would, I think to be honest, I think the only person who's safe is Chris Pratt.
Really?
And Star-Lord. I still think that this movie ends with all of the Guardians dying. Spoiler alert. Sorry. I should have I should have.
It's theory. We're theorizing. I think Chris Pratt might be the first to go. To be totally honest with you, I think he might be the first.
Well, Drax is a given. He's already said, "Fuck you, I'm out."
Yeah.
And he's already, I think, signed on to do to go to DC. Actually, I think he might be taking a break, but I bet you he ends up with DC.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I think Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula, I think her contract is over. I think she's taking a break.
Good.
So she has no bad blood. I think the character of Rocket, I think, is going to fulfill his arc in this, and I think just from a creative standpoint, I think Rocket's going to be done.
Yep.
I think that even though this is technically a different Gamora, I think that we're going to see Zoe Saldana's reign come to an end.
Sunset her, yeah.
That leaves, without getting into spoiler, based on what we know from the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, I think there's two characters that one of the other survives, and I'll leave it at that. And we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
We do the phase 4 breakdown because I don't want to tip my hand, but I think there is one of two main characters that will survive and maybe get rolled into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with something else. Maybe like a Captain Marvel or something that deals with cosmic, but
yeah.
I think I'm right there with you, JR. I think that might be the only trailer I watch of.
That's it. Yeah, that's definitely the only trailer I'm gonna watch, man. Just going into that, it sucks to see. Like, granted, too, like Guardians of the Galaxy #1 drummed up so much good, positive, like, energy and vibes for the MCU, specifically when like is coming out like that one smash hit out of nowhere type of franchise, right? Outside of the big three of what once was like what Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Like, what does Marvel have outside of that? And then out comes Guardians of the Galaxy, which drummed up so much good support, which drummed up so much like Zayness was so like out of the ordinary back in like 2012 when it originally came out, or 2011. And that was something that was well needed in the MCU. And with all the other quote unquote controversies happened throughout, the 10 years or so that has been around, throughout all the other quote unquote heroes and superheroes being pivoted as a higher market per se, it sucks that for me that Guardians of the Galaxy is going out the way it is, right? Yeah. Because it should be definitely one of those like highly valued. Like, they should have the exact same type of energy when Captain America or definitely Iron Man had, right? Because considering the fact like how much value that Guardians of the Galaxy gave the MCU, but it's been plagued with like either like, James Gunn's quote unquote shit he said in the past, or Chris Pratt's religious statements he said, right? Or Dave Bautista's statements about about him butting heads with like Marvel, blah blah blah. But like overall, dude, it's like it was such a less problematic cast, quote unquote, per se, right? In comparison to all the things that Marvel has been doing to push and pioneer other aspects, other voices, right? And so it just sucks that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I feel like, is not getting the respect that she deserves, right? Especially when you know, it when you have What If per se as well, go in and say that, oh yeah, you know, fucking, you know, King T'Challa, it will be make a better Star Lord than this white dude. And like, yeah, but at the same time, you shouldn't hate on the white kid who was kidnapped at you know 10 years old after his mom died of cancer. You really shouldn't do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like everyone's dealing with their own trauma a certain way. That was the one thing that was one of the biggest themes too of Guardians 1. Guardians 1, which if you caught up with the current phase 4, right? Or yeah, the end of phase 4, how we've all been dealing with trauma. Guardians 1's been doing that since fucking 2012, bro. It's like, what are you on about? And so it just feels like to me there's a lack of respect for Guardians of the Galaxy when it comes to stuff because of the quote unquote messengers or because of the, you know, Chris Pratt or James Gunn, which when you really look at it, you know, for Chris Pratt's break review, like all he did was said something about religious. And James Gunn, sure, people are going to talk about, you know, the shitty shit he's said or tweeted, right? And that can be seen as a you know, red flag. But like, you got to look at the guys, you know, track record up till then. And track record is definitely something to point at, because to segue into Quentin Tarantino's comments. Have you heard about this stuff, man?
I have. I hadn't heard the exact quote. I'm putting it into our screen so you guys can see it as we talk about it here. And if you guys want to comment in the comment section below on YouTube, on Facebook, and or on Twitch, or send us a tweet at PS Comics I Love You with the hashtag PS Comics I Love You. So this comes via Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. It's a podcast. A lot of guys have come out against it in the MCU. So here is the quote. We'll start with this. This is from, of course, legendary Academy Award winning filmmaker Quentin Tarantino, who I still have all the respect in the world for as a filmmaker. Quote, "You have all these actors who have become famous playing these characters. Okay. But they're not movie stars, right? Captain America is the star or Thor is the star. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. I think it's been said a zillion times, but it's like, you know, it's these franchise characters that become a star. Now, I beg to differ. Let's run the gamut here. Let's go with film number one.
Wait. Before you do that, there was actually more to that quote too. I think
that was good.
Yeah, I want to add more to that quote, but you know,
go ahead.
A lot of other places have a lot of other publications have been putting out that they cut off that quote. There's a video of the whole thing too. They have a podcast too. He also says part of the Marvelization of Hollywood is you have all these actors who become famous for playing these characters, right? That's the initial beginning of it. He also talks about just like how he used to be a Marvel fan himself. He also said, "Look, I used to collect Marvel comics like crazy when I was a kid. There's an aspect that if these movies were coming out when I was in my 20s, I would be totally fucking happy and totally love them. I mean, they wouldn't be the only movies being made. They would be movies amongst other movies. But you know, I'm also 60, so yeah, I'm not quite excited about them. My only axe ground against them is that they're all the only things that seem to be made. They're the only things that seem to generate any kind of excitement amongst the fan base or even the studios making them. That's what they're excited about, and so it's just that the fact that they're the entire representation of the era of movies right now. There's not really much room for anything else. That's my problem. So that was the initial thing.
He's not wrong.
Yeah,
that the studios like WB, like Warner Brothers, Disney, pretty much those two right there. Yeah. And well, Warner Brothers kind of is the one that kind of has Harry Potter, but pretty much between Warner Brothers and Disney, they have a tent pole in almost every month of a theatrical season.
Yeah.
And Marvel seems to run the is pretty much in charge because though they weren't the first to build a cinematic universe, they were the ones that take it to a grandioso level.
Yeah.
And it always was going to have to be done that way. It was going to have to be done. And I know that back in the day, I think Fox or someone tried to play nice with Sony, and they were going to have X-Men show up in a Spider-Man movie and Spider-Man show up in an X-Men movie. So they've tried to do this, and nobody's been able to pull it off. And in Marvel Studios, was able to pull it off by the help of Paramount and Universal, and then eventually Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Tarantino is not wrong in the sense that yes, Hollywood puts all of their eggs in one basket, and that there is no new content being made. In 1977, Star Wars was a groundbreaking film. Now it's an ATM machine. Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favorite movies of all time, top 5, maybe almost top 3, could be damn near close to a perfect film.
Yep.
Has spurned a 5 movie franchise and theme park rides and lunch boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Marvel and DC movies, Batman, comic book movies, you have to put in their own category.
Yeah.
Though you have movies like at the time, The Watchmen, which was groundbreaking. Not a big fan of it, but at the time it was groundbreaking. You have movies like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, which are
obviously
masterpieces that stand by themselves, that happen to be a movie involving a guy who dresses up like a bat. Other than that, you switch think about this. You take Batman out and keep the characters the same. That's a fantastic film. You still have Bruce Wayne. You still have this character, this billionaire, philanthropist, playboy, who doesn't dress up like a bat, but is still some kind of vigilante.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic film. Us nerds freaking love it because it's Batman.
Yeah.
But you can still have Heath Ledger dress up as the Joker. Who gives a shit? But he's not wrong that there. And I've had this conversation is that there is no quote real movies out there anymore. No one's making quote unquote real movies. Here's why.
Go ahead. I'll say my point afterwards. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just don't want to forget this. The real movies that are being made are made for, it seems they're very, I'm going to fucking say it. I'm just going to fucking say it. They're woke. No one makes entertaining movies anymore. Everything has to have an agenda. It's fine. There are movies for that.
Yeah.
There are dramas, thrillers, movies based on historical events. You have that, based on true stories.
Yeah.
But really and truly, think about it. No docuseries, no Marvel, no Star Wars, no Indiana Jones, no Harry Potter, just good old-fashioned storytelling, cinematic goodness. Tell me a good, quote-unquote, regular film that's come out in the last, I'll even narrow it down, the last 5 years that didn't have a glaring shadow of a quote-unquote woke agenda. And I can only think of one.
I can think of a couple.
The first one that jumps out at me, and I know it's now technically a franchise, is Knives Out.
Okay.
Knives Out.
I mean, you think that doesn't have the woke agenda? Really?
Not as glaring.
With Rian Johnson?
It does, but not as glaring as some things.
Okay.
You're always going to have it. There are always
yeah.
going to be things that are subtle. There's
Okay.
going to be things that are, oh, okay, I see what they're doing there. Okay.
Okay.
But when you just flat out just like put it on the table, it's like, really? You just go to the movies? It's like, but no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There is agenda, and a lot of overshadowing with some of the overtones and Knives Out. But I was right. I don't mean to cut you off.
No. But I understand, like, every movie is woke to a certain extent, right? It just depends on what level of woke you think it is. And woke is the whole thing of of even with the fucking, what do you call woke films that the right Republicans make? Like it's
Which
like
I don't like either.
It's like, what do you call those movies? What do you call that type of thought, right? Like, do you call that conservative? Like, no, motherfuckers, you woke too. It's just more so like you trying to use this word of woke, which is some fucking 2020 colloquialism, or actually 2018 colloquialism of having an enhanced mind or some bullshit, right? For me, the less woke films that's been there for the longest freaking time that came out great, or for franchise, right? Dune. Last 2 years, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah,
that came out 2 years ago too. There was a bunch of movies per se. Though my reasoning why you don't see a lot of these films out, because to be honest with you, no one really want to watch these fucking movies. Like it's
bingo.
I can understand the fact that like wokeism is the broadened term of doing that, but honestly and genuinely, no one's excited to see these movies, man. Like if you look at like the big tentpole, like Oscar award winning shit that's coming out, right? That's getting nominated. Who watches those movies? It's in comparison to like who watches Marvel films. I think that's the biggest play here too. You're always gonna have. We've always had for the longest time these big, huge tempo movies of like blockbuster movies. Like you wouldn't have the same energy when fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger was peddling out Terminator 1 and 2. You didn't have the same energy when freaking you had Die Hard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When they were still making the hundreds of million dollars when inflation wasn't super crazy high. But I understand the notion of this. It's this whole thing of like, rather than woke films, he's looking at artsy films, because again, we're talking about Quentin motherfucking Tarantino. It's like, bro, like I get it. The one of the biggest things is market appeal and commercialism, and this is just the whole thing of like commercialism and capitalism in full flex. If you don't make money, guess what's going to happen? Like you, Quentin Tarantino, who can make your artsy, films that can hit Oscars, it will be published and be made, 5 years out of the time. You go from Django Unchained to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that which took you 10 years to make.
Yeah,
that's why you can make those movies because you're a prolific director, and nothing wrong with that. I understand his notion of like, the Marvelization of Hollywood is so bad, but at the same time, it's like, yo, homie, if people gotta wait 10 years for you specifically to make a movie in order for them to get a paycheck, that's bad too. The overall double-edged sword specifically with MCU is that, yeah, okay, cool, capitalism, Disney, that the corporate bullshit, that sucks. At the same time, people like fucking Will Poulter, right, is going to get paid for over a period of time. People like Tom Holland, right, who's 26 now, who might retire now, who's able to retire now and have kids with Zendaya possibly, right? Great for him. Was Spider-Man for 5 to 6 years of our lives. And will be always known as that, yes. But because of that, he's able to get paid. We're also looking at disparity too, of like, I'm looking in the sense of like, yo, we got these actors and actresses, right, that in my history and my love of action movies never got their flowers, right? Never got their say, never really got respected, for their work in cinema. And because of it, they're either drowning in debt or they're barely making it per se, right? Granted, Donnie Yen is fucking Donnie Yen. Jackie Chan is one of the biggest stars, legendary stars in China, but like never really had a lot of sway to Western markets. But now, right, with MCU and my love of Marvel and comics coming in, we can get these people basically, one, yes, they get paid, but two, because of MCU, because of these big tentpole movies, they get their name out there. That's the biggest thing too.
Exactly.
Who the fuck heard of Tom Holland before Spider-Man? He was in maybe 1 to 2 movies, right?
Yeah.
Who like Haley Steinfeld? Yes, and also that too can also play into the fact like, yo, we got a lot of stars, like well-renowned stars coming in, to play Marvel characters. I mean, the Clark, freaking RDJ, Samuel Jackson, whom both Samuel Jackson, RDJ, and Shang-Chi, they made comics about this particular quote. Yeah. And like, I understand both sides. You want the artsy films to come back. You want people to come in and, not just watch MCU like Marvel or superhero stuff, but you also want them to watch these artsy films. You're always going to have that, but at the same time, those films are always going to make $10-20 million at most. Like, that's always how it's been.
Here's go on what you said.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of these guys are pissed off about is you nailed it right there. Maybe you nailed it on purpose or you nailed it on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
They make art movies, but they make big budget art movies.
Yeah.
But they're still not in a position to have an actor demand, and I use the word loosely, demand or call for a $20 million paycheck.
That's what I'm saying.
Or more. Mm-hmm. Both directors, Marty and Quentin, have worked with Leonardo DiCaprio, and and he has taken a pay cut in some cases to do either one of their films.
Yeah.
I think both of them are concerned that they're going to get priced out of the game because a guy like Robert Downey Jr. goes and does Endgame and Infinity War and makes $250 million, and they think, oh shit, now I'm going to have to pay Robert Downey Jr. $200 million to go do my whatever movie, my William Belfort biopic. No, you're not. You don't have to be worried about it. You'd be stupid to think. Plus, RDJ's deal was all based on back end, but I think that's their concern, and I get it. I get it that they think that we're being dummied down, that it's lowbrow cinema, that it's
spectacle, all that stuff.
It's not real cinema. Let's go through the history of cinema.
We could fucking talk about Martin Scorsese's act of him playing, of him constantly using the mobster trope and calling, and him in his roles of other actors consistently saying the N-word and being derogatory.
Both of them.
We can talk about that shit too, right? Come on,
both of them.
It's the lowbrow thing.
Both of these directors, yeah. Here's my thing. I always go back to this. And yes, you'll get the traditionalists that'll say, okay, it's the musician, not the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch the Oscars, I challenge anybody, watch the Oscar broadcast, and when the end credits are rolling, and they start off, and when the credits are rolling, they start off with playing "It's Time for Hollywood." They play that song, Hollywood, and then they go into a bunch of melody of different Hollywood themes of different 90% of the movie themes that are played in that melody that they are promoting, Hollywood's biggest night is promoting movies. That's the whole thing about the Oscars. It's to promote movies. The music from those movies is being promoted. That they're promoting. 90% of them are, quote, tentpole blockbuster movies. You're hearing E.T. Sorry, that's a blockbuster film. Jaws. Sorry, that was a summer blockbuster. Jurassic Park, blockbuster. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was a quote unquote blockbuster film. You don't hear the theme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You don't hear the theme from Memoirs of a Geisha. You don't hear the theme from The Departed, from Reservoir Dogs. You might hear something from Pulp Fiction, but you don't hear themes from a Wes Anderson film. You hear John Williams. And guess what John Williams does? John Williams does blockbusters. He does the occasional artsy film.
Yeah.
You hear the theme, Superman. You hear Harry Potter.
You hear
Hedwig's theme.
Yeah.
That's what people want to see. No. You look at my top 10 list of my favorite films of all time. Number 1 on that list is Jurassic Park. Big blockbuster film. Number 2 on that list and number 3 maybe are high budget, but they're great dramas. Almost Famous and Shawshank Redemption. 2 of my top 3 favorite movies of all time. And both of those movies, though Shawshank was maybe a high budget, but they're a quote unquote artsy Oscar film. They're not a Hollywood summer blockbuster. But you don't see those movies being promoted by Hollywood because the mass wants to go see Dark Knight Rises. They don't want, the mass doesn't want to go see The Departed. They don't want to see Wolf of Wall Street. They don't want to see Best in Show.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'll give the end of that. They do want to see that, but not to the comparisons of like a Marvel film.
No.
That's what they want. Like I'm not gonna say that he's hating on Marvel films. That it's just more so like here's the thing that he should know all too well. Studios want a certain pinpointed thing, and the thing about the MCU and the thing about Disney has given basically Kevin Feige free reign to fucking do is to make whatever the hell they want. Something that in the vein of like in the vein of directors of like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, they would love for their studio to do for them. Hey, go make whatever the fuck you want to. Here is a blank check. Go and make your thing. What would you think Quentin Tarantino would do? Right? Just to have that type of say and understand, like, oh, I can make whatever movie I want, right? Really? Me? Right? And I'm not talking about, the 50 to 100 million, right, for budget. I'm talking about the $200 million budgets, right? I'm talking about that type of stuff where you don't have to worry about anything else. And so that's just the name of the game for Hollywood, man. It's like it's entertainment. But I understand his ideal and concept of like, man, everything's being Marvelized. Yeah, that's the meta nowadays, bro. That was the meta for the 90s of like everything gotta be action movie, everything.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it. Just
trying to make it disappear.
It's all good. Everything gotta be profitable. That's the biggest thing. What was that one movie that there was a movie that came out that was a number one that made an Oscar like 2 years ago, which with director from Eternals, right? That movie?
Yeah, it was like a movie based on like the middle of the desert.
Yeah, they were working at like an Amazon facility or something, right? Like, yeah, that's an RC movie. Who watched it?
Nobody.
That's what I understand that when people look at the Oscars, or these pivotal actor-esque moments, that's the pinnacle of your career. That's fine. Great. We need those forms too. Mahershala Ali did it, but he's also doing Blade. So what's the problem here? Holly Steinfeld did it for her role in Grit when she was 14.
Started her career doing a
Western movie, doing a Western movie, and she fucking knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely,
won an Oscar at that age. She's also Kate Bishop now.
Yeah,
what's the problem here?
Chris Evans Chris Evans was doing not another teen movie, and what was his name? Zach Tucker Must Die. I don't know. He was doing freaking stupid teeny bopper movies.
Yeah.
He was putting whipped cream on his chest and his junk. Okay.
Yeah.
Doing spoofs. Then he gets Johnny Storm. Then he gets Steve Rogers. And then guess what he got? Knives Out. And absolutely fucking killed it.
It's
Okay?
like I understand the initial reaction of like saying that Marvel, there's no stars in Marvel. The characters are the stars. Yes, I agree with that. Right?
Agreed. And
I agree with that.
Actors know that.
Yeah, and so, but I feel like the overall, I think the whole thing is just overblown. Like, it's definitely comes from a point of like people want to hate on this comment because like, oh, it's the fucking old guard, right? Gatekeepers, all stuff. No, man, it's just people not truly understanding the whole concept of it. Like it's come on, dude. Like, this is the guy who fucking put so many stars on the map. Who really try to market and push off like this whole idea of like, you can make this shit on your own. Who fucking did Django Unchained? Right? He did the fucking Django Unchained with Jamie Foxx. Come on. It's at least give him the benefit of the doubt and understanding like what is the role now. Yes, the meta now is everyone make a superhero movie, and that the studios, the production, you shouldn't be mad at Quentin Tarantino making this sentiment. It's just what he's saying now. What we should be mad about is that the same fucking corporate bullshit that happens throughout all of life. Is like, oh, this is what makes money. Well, then guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna make franchises our own. We've been saying it for the longest freaking time. This is what happens when something gets popular. MCU does it, makes $1 billion. Oh, fucking let's make a mummy universe. Let's make the DC universe, right? Without actually making good films first.
And I think that is what people are too. I think that's to put a bow on this conversation. We could talk about this till we're blue in the face. And if you guys want to join the conversation, hit us in the comment section below. Yeah. Is that I think that it did exactly that, JR. That it inspired people, even DC, to create a cinematic universe they tried to run and catch up without walking and setting their own blueprint. The failed attempt at the monster universe is I think really was the downward spiral. They
failed with a movie with Tom Cruise in it. Just think how crazy that is.
Yeah. And I think some will say that the kaiju universe kind of bombed.
Oh, yeah.
I think they told their story.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong probably didn't live up to the hype. Kong Skull Island was great. The original Godzilla was great. Mm-hmm. Godzilla King of the Monsters was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just kind of shit the bed with Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've had this conversation with my mom. I've had this conversation with people at work. There are no quote unquote real movies out there being made, or at least they're not being promoted. And if they are being made, they're being made for straight for streaming.
Yeah.
But I hate to say that that's just the way we consume movies. We spent the last two out of the last 3 years being told that we need to stay inside, and not go anywhere. And because if we go outside, we're going to die. And we couldn't go to the movie theater. We got comfortable in our man caves, in our home theaters, watching stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and Apple TV and stuff like that. Yeah, we are like, why do we want to go to the theater? Prime example, JR. I mean, not to throw you under the bus, but I mean, since COVID restrictions have been lifted, how many times have you been in the theater?
Not prime example. I am the leading example because my thought process has always been fuck everyone else. I'm trying to watch a movie. I don't. I say the same thing. It's like it's easy to watch a movie at home now because like you can hear absolutely nothing but the movie. The biggest always been my judgment is like Every time I go watch a movie, I gotta worry about other motherfuckers fucking up my experience. That's the biggest thing. And like that's always happened when I have even before COVID. So that's the thing. Like, dude, no one wants to. I'd rather spend $20, right? Especially if it's a movie that I feel is worth it. $20 or $30 when it first came out too. If the movie's worth it, I would love to watch that shit by myself.
I'm kind of the same way. I even went and saw Deadpool by myself. I had jury duty, and they had gave us like, oh, you guys have to be back in 4 hours. And I had 4 hours. I had 4 hours to kill. So what the fuck am I going to do? And I want to drive all the way back home, and I went on. So I said I went to the theater. The theater was closer, and I went to the movies, and it was glorious. I went and saw the original Deadpool by myself. Not even with my wife. My wife was at work. I was off doing. Like I said, had jury duty, and like I said, they told us to come back in 4 hours, and I went, F it, I'm going to the movies, and I went and saw that, and it was glorious sitting there watching Ryan Reynolds kill it in that first movie by myself. I understand that, but I will say nothing, absolutely nothing, will compare to seeing Infinity War and Endgame in theater on opening weekend. It was mind blowing how cool it was. So I get Quentin is a cinephile. I've heard him talk by himself. I heard him talk with Robert Rodriguez. I've heard him talk with Kevin Smith. Just they're all cinema junkies, and they love that. They live for that. They don't let them fool you. They love the blockbuster. Yep. They love freaking Quentin Tarantino worked in a freaking video store. Kevin Smith worked in a video store. Kevin Smith one is probably not a bad example because he plays both sides of the fence. But Quentin worked in a video store. He is a cinephile. He loves both sides of the aisle. So I see, like I said, to put up on it, I see both sides of the argument. I think it does not do him or Marty, because it makes them both sound like old man yelling at clouds.
I feel like the best thing to do for that scenario is like to have a legit conversation, right, with all these people involved. I would love to see him sit down with RDJ and Samuel Jack, because he's worked with both. Yeah. And so it's like just sit down, like, hey, what is the current reign of movies right now? Like why do we feel this way? And so it would be crazy if Kevin Feige said, hey, if you feel that way, I'll give you a movie, do whatever the fuck you want. That'd be crazy to see.
And there are two directors who people have called upon, because you've had some great directors who have entered into, or at least been in the vicinity of, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have some great directors. Steven Spielberg hasn't directed a MCU movie yet, but he's been around it. George Lucas has been around it. But you've had guys like James Gunn, you got guys like Jon Favreau, who have now become household names, do movies. You have Chloe Zhao, won an Academy Award, did The Eternals. Okay, maybe The Eternals wasn't everyone's favorite cup of tea, but it still was a great film. Or not a great film, but it was a good film. I take it back. Yeah. And you've had some other directors and stuff like that. Yeah, have you had these gigantic names? No, but you had the Russo brothers, who have now become household names. So they've turned directors into household names. We now know who Peyton Reed is because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and know that he can make a great film. We know who Joe Walt is now, and know that he can make great films because of what he did with Spider-Man. We know who the Watts. I'm sorry. We know who the Russo brothers are now. They were fucking TV directors. Now they have an entire production studio, and they're making movies for freaking Netflix. whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. The only guys that haven't made movies for Marvel are Wes Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, technically Steven Spielberg, although George Lucas has been more involved with Lucasfilms and kind of around The Mandalorian and stuff like that. He's not directed anything, but Spielberg hasn't been involved. They've tried to bring him in. Let's reel him in.
Let him go off the sunset and just enjoy whatever the fuck he wants to do.
But if I'm Kevin Feige, you have Marty's number. Marty, it's Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios. Let's do lunch. Come on down to the studio. I'm not going to give you the song and dance. Come see what we do. I would love your feedback. How can we make this better? Think about what you have coming down the pipeline that he could just move this over there, shoot it from this angle. Let's go get breakfast. Invite Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, just come over, check it out. See what we're doing. Instead of pissing in the wind and say it's raining. Just invite him down. Don't give him a contract. You have him sign an NDA, but don't give him a contract. No, you're not going to direct the next Fantastic Four movie. No, we want you to just come on down and show them what you do and allow them to teach. They are two great directors. I love Marty Scorsese movies. I love Quentin Tarantino movies. Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, two of some of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I will say, I'm going to say something controversial real quick. When it comes to Martin Scorsese movies, people will say that Casino is the greatest Marty Scorsese movie of all time. I can't stand it. I cannot stand Casino.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but I can't stand it. I cannot stand Sharon Stone. I like Goodfellas better than Casino. But my favorite Marty Scorsese movie is The Departed. The Departed is so good. So many great lines. So well directed. The cinematography is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Have him come down to the lot. Have him just see what you do. It's no different. I do this every day in sales. Okay, you don't like me. Okay, you don't like what I do. You don't like what I sell. Okay, come on down and see what I got. It's like anything else. You get him in the building. Are you going to sign up Martin Scorsese to direct Secret Wars? No. But Kevin, call him, have him come down. So, that's what I have to say about that. So,
yeah.
Speaking of Marvel,
moving on. Just
let's get to JJR's favorite topic.
After getting after that, after talking about that for a little bit, just kind of wind back down. Last thing we review. To Marvel Midnight Suns video game release back on December 2nd. I have yet to play that game.
I forgot that this was coming out this soon.
It came out already. It came to kind of million reviews. It's currently on an 83 score on Metacritic.
Ain't bad.
That's not bad at all.
Better some of the other games that are out right now.
Specifically for for what's happening. It's definitely scored better than FIFA. But
really?
FIFA's always fucking horrible, bro. What are you talking about?
What's so funny is FIFA always ends up being actually here's the
FIFA's $1 billion seller because people around the world are willing to. It's the same thing with Marvel. People are always going willing to watch a Marvel movie. Same thing. People are always going willing to buy a FIFA movie or a FIFA video game because it's soccer.
It is a game, you're right.
Football.
76 compared to
obvious. Yeah, it's 83%. It's FIFA. Dude, it's gonna make $1 billion worldwide over and over and over again because people are gonna spend money on those little card packs, and then
same thing with Madden.
Exactly. That's the point, and that's the reason why Madden is $1 billion seller every single year because that trash ass video game, which is currently I think like lower too, much lower than FIFA.
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
It's lower. That's a horrendous fucking mess too. Anything made from
EA It is 10 points less than FIFA
Mhm.
and almost 20 points off. Good on them, because you know what? Exactly what JR just said. Madden has been a fucking dumpster fire for 20 years.
Here's the thing, and this will somewhat transition back to some input of what Quentin Tarantino said about movies there, right? His thought process of what he thought what Marvel is doing to movies nowadays is actually what's happening in the video game world with Madden, FIFA, and all this trash sports series.
Yeah.
They don't revolutionize. They're the same shit over and over again, and yet people buy them because of predatory practices.
Yeah,
right.
Now, mind you, I have
That's
not
the best
bought.
part.
I have not bought FIFA
Mm-hmm.
myself
Mm-hmm.
in 20 years. And going back 20 years, when I bought literally every game, I think this was for the original Xbox.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it was PlayStation 2. So the original PlayStation 2, there was one year.
Go
EA
back to
Sports.
FIFA.
EA Sports had a franchise on had a tag on every single sports franchise in the world, and pound for pound, FIFA was the best game that EA made. So I've always been a fan. EA, FIFA and NHL are probably the two best games that EA Sports makes. So this is the first time I've bought this game in 20 years. And yes, it has its detractions. And I find new things every day that I don't like about it. But just like that review where they said, what is it? It was a 77% Metascore.
Yeah.
That's a fair number. That's a fair number. But it's not a 69 like Madden. That's just sad.
Again, like the game, if thankfully for you, if you haven't picked up an EA game, specifically sports game in 20 years, right? I will say this, that if you bought an EA game 10 years ago, it hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is the roster and names and players going in and out. That's literally it. And so that's the biggest takeaway from a FIFA / EA game in general, man. It's like shit hasn't changed, man. It's the same shit from fucking 10 years ago. It might somewhat look nicer, even though people will definitely combat that thought. But yeah, but going back to Midnight Suns video game release, it came out December 2nd. Currently Metacritic score of 83. I will never buy it when it becomes cheaper, man. Like again, going back.
I'll look for it to stream on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, considering the fact that like it's like the age right now specifically, and hopefully this will segue into another point, is that everything's more expensive. Your $60 games is now $70, and so I don't know if I'm willing to spend $70 on a game, that is gonna be buggy from out of pocket. And so the same thing goes to, like, I don't know if I want to spend $70 on a sports game either, right? Which the next game's gonna come out next year. So that's definitely a thought process, man. Like, it's already hard paying $75 for this freaking thing, $120 or more for the next version of this. And so do I want to spend another $70 for a game that's quite literally gonna come out the next year? So I'm gonna see. Hopefully there'll be a price cut eventually in the next like 6 months or so, where that $70 will go down to maybe 40, hopefully $45, hopefully $50. And so we'll see that. Going to this next point though, and this is my point of contention: Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a Game of the Year edition.
How?
Fucking what?
How?
You know me, right? I was a huge fan of. I still am now, right? Because this has gone back to me. But yeah, the original game that came back in 2020 is getting a Game of the Year edition. 2 years, almost. Actually, it came out December 10th, so almost 2 years to the day that is getting a Game of the Year. And I gotta say, fucking why? and no hate towards CD Projekt Red, but a little disappointment. Definitely a bunch of disappointment, actually. Why are you releasing a Game of the Year edition? Maybe you should have released a game finally put together edition, and that would make more sense.
Is it even nominated for Game of the Year?
No.
Was it nominated?
Why-
And how are you
no.
calling yourself Game of the Year?
It's the same thought process too. Like I think Bethesda did this
fuck.
like a year. Bethesda did this a year ago too, where like they put out a Game of the Year edition for Vault 76, and that fucking horrible atrocity of a buggy mess too. Right?
If people don't realize, we've been following Cyberpunk 2077 literally since day one of this podcast.
Yeah, me.
The first trailer, first gameplay footage of this game came out in May, June of 2020. Yeah. The game came out by the end of the year.
I would.
JR, you bought it for PS4?
PS4.
And you said it
$60.
was a fucking dumpster fire.
It was fucking like I love. Now, here's the thing. It was a good game when you break down. What it made it fucking horrible and trashy was that it was an unfinished game.
And which we'll get to another game that's unfinished.
Think of FIFA, right? If FIFA every 5 minutes on you crashed. If FIFA,
don't bring that fucking evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
You sent me, I think you sent me a GIF, right, or whatever, a video of like someone fucking Hadouking or like full on drop kicking another player into the goal. Think of that happen. It was you or somebody else. Think of that happening
I sent you that.
Yeah, think of that GIF, right, or that little glitch happening to everything all the time. That was Cyberpunk 2077.
And I've never run into that with FIFA.
It's gonna that's what it was, right? And so a lot of the people too, when they post like these little gifs and shit, right, of like what happened when what's wrong with Cyberpunk, right? You think, oh, that's people looking for that shit. No, man, that shit happens. That shit happened to me. Every hour or so I played the game, it crashed. Like it was a good game when they finally fixed it a year and a half later.
Yeah, and knock on wood, I don't know if it's the system, if it's the games that I've chosen. I have played Miles Morales. I have played Battlefront 2. I have played Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
I have played Guardians of the Galaxy. I even went back and played Vice City from the PlayStation 2 on my PS5.
Mm-hmm.
And I have yet to have a game crash. I have yet to have a game.
Good for you.
Lock up or something like that. So, knock on wood.
Good for you. Man. I'm hoping they would have way more respect for me if they said if they gave this edition a finally worked edition.
There you go. I like that.
They would have so much more respect from me specifically if they came out with that edition. Like, oh hey guys, it finally works. So here you go. And so there you go. But going into another game, Callisto Protocol, that finally released. Actually, I'm gonna do a bunch of bullet points. Callisto Protocol, from the makers of the old school beloved Dead Space game, which that too is getting re-released too. The makers of that is made of another game called Callisto Protocol that released a little bit buggy as well. I inevitably will buy that game as well. Dying Light 2 got a bunch of trailers released, and a release date finally comes out on April 28th, 2023. Set in a zombified LA. That looks like an interesting game. I cannot wait for that. And the biggest topic of discussion for me, for you, my guy, is that have you played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah. I did. Pre-ordered it earlier this year, received it back during Black Friday. Not Black Friday, Thanksgiving Day, or Thanksgiving weekend. Was super excited about it. Played 5 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
And was already bored with it. I wanted to come back to playing FIFA.
Okay.
It's the best way to describe it is there's almost too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
The open worldness of it, great. Love that. Pokemon Legend Arceus is probably by far one of the best role-playing games ever made. And easily the best Pokemon game that's ever been made.
Okay.
Some will say from the main series that some of the old Nintendo, the original Game Boy or the Nintendo DS games were from a story standpoint and originality were better. I'll give you Pokemon like so, for example, Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby. Pokemon Ruby, in my opinion, is probably one of the best games that from the Pokemon main series. Some will say Black and White was really good. Sword and Shield was really good.
Yeah.
Legends Arceus was imagine Pokemon meets Breath of the Wild.
Wow. I'm just still taken aback that you said Pokemon Arceus was one of the best RPG games you ever made. Wow, really?
I just think because it took where we're going from a gamer standpoint of open world to a whole new level.
How so?
So the developers of Breath of the Wild worked on this Pokemon Legends Arceus. Those guys, once their contract ends up with I don't know, I can't remember who the exact company is, but the company that did Breath of the Wild, that did Pokemon Legends Arceus, that's doing the Breath of the Wild sequel, which comes out next year. If their production company contract ends with Nintendo, it is going to be a feeding frenzy, because where we're going in the gaming world is we're going towards open worldness, and people like that kind of gameplay. They like open world. They like being able to explore and free range and stuff like that. We saw it with Grand Theft Auto. We've seen it with Red Dead Redemption. We've seen it with other games start to adapt it a little bit. Imagine Call of Duty Modern Warfare. You kind of see it with Fortnite. Fortnite and kind of the battle royale games are a version of open world. Imagine playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, not necessarily in a battle royale version, but just an open world gameplay. The games might last a little bit longer, or maybe a lot longer, but they'd be very intriguing. And I'd like to see developers push the boundaries with open worldness. But that's what I meant, JR, is that role-playing games of that ilk are very cookie cutter. And Pokemon is still kind of cookie cutter, but they dare to push the boundaries.
I will say this, not to throw you on the bus or anything, but developers for Pokemon Arceus has been the same developers for all the Pokemon games. It's still Game Freak, and the developers for Breath of the Wild has been the same developers for Zelda for forever. That's all Nintendo in-house shit. So just to say that, but
they need to pay. They need a pay raise now. Game Freak, I think what it is, JR, is it's the developer, the company is the same, but I think it's like an actual team, probably specific people.
Okay.
Because the story went that when they did Breath of the Wild was such a massive hit, that someone at Game Freak and the Pokemon company says, "What if we do that with Pokemon?" And they're like, "Okay." I mean, it's so blatant that Legends Arceus is a Pokemon version of Breath of the Wild. And I think that Scarlet and Violet was meant to be the same thing, and I just think it fell flat. And it was kind of meant to be a cross between Legends Arceus and Sword and Shield, and it just fell flat. You have in the notes here, it's buggy as shit. So many problems. They did have a patch that came out, I believe, on Thursday or Friday of last week that should fix some of those problems. But even YouTubers like Austin John Plays, who've gone in and broken down the code, said they still have a long way to go. That this patch 1.1.0 is still a long way away.
Yeah, and I feel like too, it might be even taking longer, considering the fact that it's from the reviews I've heard and from people that I know and they play the game as well. It's just that Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it technically hasn't changed. where it's yes, you see evolution of it to a certain extent, but like overall, you see the theme, you see the overall archetypes of what they've been doing since a while back, and so since Sword and Shield basically too, and so it feels very much like a boogie mess. People are saying that it's because of the it's also because it's the technology, it's the Switch, it's still very much kind of outdated, and it's I don't want to hate on Pokemon because I don't want to pile on to Game Freak. I understand that that they want to do a lot more, but I do feel like when you make 100 million, when you were quite literally the biggest selling franchise ever in Pokemon, you got to put more money into you got to put more money. You're not out of money, basically.
No,
You're talking about a franchise that is the most coveted franchise ever, like ever, more than Marvel, more than comic books, more than like what Harry Potter, more than all that shit. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar IP, and this is what you come out with. Like,
that's
really?
what was so disappointed about it.
Yeah, and so I feel like what also needs to be done for them, and I'm pretty sure the sentiment has been put out there, is that they should just take their time instead of making a new Pokemon game every single year for Game Freak. What it feels like is that they're coming to the line with Call of Duty franchise and what FIFA has been doing too. Where like they got to put out something every single year, and then when something is really focused on when there's a certain game that's like feels like there's a lot more love into it, you look at those games like, oh, that's what you should be doing. So I feel like instead of every single fucking year, what they should do is that every 2-3 years they come out with a banger ass hit. Same thing like they've been doing with Zelda, where they go for like 4 or 5 years at a time and they come out with a banger ass hit, right? And they make millions upon millions of dollars. And so I think that you can do that with video games. Yeah, you can do that with video games.
That's the downside of a sports game. Use FIFA as example, is you have things that change every single year. You have teams that change and logos change and players change. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I remember as a kid, I couldn't wait to play the new Triple Play game or the new baseball game or the new Madden game, because I wanted to see that player in that new uniform. Yeah. And this is what I would like to see done. And it's almost taken the iPhone approach. Yes, we get a new iPhone every single year. But really, if you look at the core of the iPhone, they don't make drastic hardware overhaul changes to the device. Mm-hmm. Every 2 years at the earliest, sometimes every 3 years. Video games should take a note from games like Breath of the Wild, like Legend of Zelda. Put a game out every about 3 or 4 years, okay? And Legend Arceus was supposed to do this, and I think that's why maybe Scarlet and Violet got pushed out early. They were supposed to have Sword and Shield had multiple DLCs, and obviously with the subscription to Nintendo Online, you got the DLCs for free. Or you paid like $10 for the DLCs, which that's not too bad in this day and age. They should probably focus more on doing that.
Yeah.
Make a main game, a main substance game that tells a story that in this case unlocks new Pokemon. Let's use Pokemon for example. And if you want to broaden the story and add a little sustenance to it, add a little extra salsa to your wings, you throw a DLC, a little $5 DLC out there. Breath of the Wild did it. Breath of the Wild had a couple of add-ons. Shit, Spider-Man, the one of the greatest video games of all time, the 2018 Sony Spider-Man for PS4 had 3 DLCs that were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Do that. Add a new island or something like that. Same thing with Madden. Maybe don't do an overhaul to Madden every single year, but you do a free update, or shit, even pay $5 and you get the new roster update, and we get the new uniforms.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
You're talking about DLCs at this point, right? You're talking about download.
Yeah,
I bring pause to that because they kind of already do that already, and like in the sense of like they put everything behind a paywall type of shit, right?
Agreed.
For like free up for, because we've had this conversation about like, you know, DLCs. Like when it comes to like these yearly releases of just absolute shit, right?
It's average.
It's average, right? I understand it should be. It's hard to have this conversation with something that comes out yearly. Be like, how do we do this, right? Because the second that shit, right? Because again, the fucking corporate, the whole corporate market fucking capitalism bullshit happens, right? The second that these games do it, right? They do a DLC, one game only, and do that, right? Everyone does it. Look at Grand Theft Auto 5. That shit came out in 2013. It's still out. It's still the biggest selling video game, like by a mile, because they come out with short DLCs and they nickel and dime everyone. That's great for the makers of that game. That's great for the publisher of that game. What's not good for? The people who are waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. The people who are waiting for the next Red Dead Redemption. Because like what's the incentive of making those games? Like they made Red Dead Redemption 2 back in 2018. That game did worse technically in comparison to Grand Theft Auto 5, that was making still at the time more money at the same year that Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. And so it's like,
here's my thing is, I'm not, don't get me wrong, by no stretch of the imagination am I a fan of loot crates and paywalls and stuff like that. But what I was getting after is an update. And if it's worthwhile, if you're just going to do, we're going to charge you $5 and all we're going to do is this.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they
find something that works. Almost hit the pause button.
Yeah.
Okay. And I get it's the same thing with the actual NFL product. Is there's so much money. I'll use for the example, the WWE. I'll use the WWE as an example. The WWE has so much money invested in it, literally billions, from Fox and Universal with their TV rights deals with USA and the main Fox feed. They've literally billions that neither Fox, the WWE, or Universal give two shits about the product they put out there as long as they put a product out there. Because they know that somebody's going to buy it to cover their nut. The problem is it's going to wear thin over a period of time. It's eventually going to catch up to you. It's eventually going to go. People are going to go like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And it's happening. And it happened. It's what created AEW. It's what created Ring of Honor. It's what created TNA. It's what created all these other wrestling organizations around the world, which then turned and created a wrestle war that we haven't seen since 2020. What can be said with video games is like you said, Jared, it's the weather changes, the leaves fall, summer turns to fall, and guess what? Here comes Madden NFL 2023. Here comes Madden NFL 2024. And guess what? There's not a damn thing different about the game. Yeah. But yet, here's your $69.99 or your $79.99 or your 10 case special edition that you can only get at Target for $109.99, or you pay $129.99 and you get all these Madden mega cards and blah blah blah. First off, no one gives. I'm going to go on a fucking Kevin rant. Hashtag Kevin rant. No one gives a flying fuck about those games. Oh, that irritates the shit out of me. The Ultimate Teams. No one gives a fuck about Ultimate Teams. That feature blows. Get fucking rid of it, EA Sports. Get the fuck over it. No one cares about Ultimates. And if you can sit there and show me a chart that says you're making $1 billion on it, then those people are fools. God, the fucking football Ultimate Team on FIFA fucking blows, and it eats up so much space on that disc. I saw the breakdown, and it's just god awful, and there's no redeeming factor in the game to play Ultimates. And the same thing for Madden, the same thing for anything else, because all it is loot crate bullshit. And it's no different than the bitching and complaining that we had about this game. But this game, this was Loot Crate City right here. And I'm showing the case for Battlefront 2, where you had to spend $1,700 to beat the fucking game under a decade. That's bullshit. And it's all about collecting cards and collecting characters. Like, no, give me a fucking lightsaber. I want to chop Darth Vader's head off and be done with it. You know, same thing with Madden. I want to play as the Raiders. I want to play career mode. I don't give a crap about collecting Tom Brady rookie cards and getting 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, just sorry.
No.
I got triggered for a second.
Go around. Here's the sad part about it, and not to combat against what you fucking eloquently said about that shit. The sad thing about it is that people do give a fuck about it because you see $1 billion being fucking made from that bullshit.
So stupid. Why?
Here's the thing about it too. That I always give pause to, and I have to laugh at now too. Right? I'm gonna say this to say this. Right? Your fucking little, you put your $1.99 down for a fucking card pack, right? To get those card pack shit. You don't guess that? You know what that is nowadays? That's NFTs, motherfucker.
Yeah,
those are NFTs. Those are non-fungible tokens. Now, guess what's gonna happen next year? Gonna be worthless. Your shit does not carry over. And understanding this is coming from a person who plays Modern fucking Warfare, right? Where my dumbass will spend $10 on a season pass, which I know for full damn well, right? When I played Warzone 2 years, the last 2 years, and there's a new fucking video game that came out. Guess what's happening? That shit is gone. That shit doesn't carry over. That your NFTs, right? Your non-fungible tokens, your digital, fucking cards, whatever. That shit goes nowhere, my guy. You spend $100. You see these kids, you see these big streamers, right? Which they make it all look all nice and glamorous and shit. You're good. You're nice and glamorous and shit, right? Like, oh, I got my fucking, Odell Beckham Jr. who's 99 rating, right? Card. Oh, it's a gold card, whatever, right? Guess the fuck what, bro? That shit's gonna be fucking worthless next year because you have to buy you have to buy that same damn card next year. It's
exactly
this it feeds into this trend of wanting kids, right, to go out and spend for shit, right? It's much different from I've seen this argument too, but people saying, well, what about the Pokemon card people, right, where they open packs live on thing? That's different. You know why? That's something that's physical. You'll have it in your hand. You bought it, it stays with you possibly forever. You fucking buy a digital pack online. Guess what happens? That digital pack that you spend $300, $400, $500 on has to stay online. You're not going to be playing that Madden game in 10 years from now. That Madden 2010, 2022, you're not going to be playing Madden 2022 in the year 2033. It's not going to fucking happen, my guy. And so that's the thing that's fucking wild to me. The same reason why when all the shit you bought in GTA 5, when GTA 6 comes out, guess what's gonna happen, my guy? That shit that you bought in GTA 5 is not gonna come with you in GTA 6 because they want you again corporatism and fucking the free market, quote unquote. They want you to keep on buying the same shit for a new thing, and guess what? It's gonna happen. That's the sad thing.
Yeah,
but people don't recognize that shit until they're like fucking $3,000 in debt.
Yeah,
it's sad. Just being more knowledgeable.
I use, for example, you can't carry it over. You're exactly right. You buy the card, you buy the Tom Brady gold, platinum, diamond, 100%.
Yeah,
freaking Patriots 97 blue 42 edition card. Look what I got. Okay, what does that get you? Well, I could put them on my Ultimates team. Okay, what does that mean? And you're absolutely right, Jared.
Yeah,
absolutely right. You know who the ultimate team card people are?
Let me make an addendum just real quick before I start cutting you off. Let me make an addendum quick. I'm not trying to demonize the people buying it because I understand they were all fucking victims.
If that's what you want to fucking
hey,
do.
Hey, if you got money to spend, you got money to spend, and I'm not trying to demonize you. What I am demonizing is the people that want your money and that know you're gonna be doing this. This is the same shit as fucking gambling addiction, my dudes. Like you gotta recognize that shit. Recognize that it's a problem. Understand it's a problem. Understand that too. That I'm also giving you grace and understand that like me, I could spend $10 I could spend $10 or so on a season pass, right? Because all those shiny new skins or whatever, right? Looks cool. I can have grace for the people who can buy this shit, but I have all nothing but vitriol towards the organizations that continue to fucking push this bullshit out. But onwards to you, what you want to say.
Don't get me started with skins. Oh, that irritates the shit. I had that conversation with my kids. They wanted to play. There was some game, and they wanted. Well, Dad, I need
Roblox.
this. I'm like, why?
Roblox, right?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Roblox.
Hey,
or Minecraft or something like that. And they're like, well, we want to do this. I'm like, do you understand? Like, you don't get that T-shirt in real life. Like, it's just a video game. It's one thing. I'm like, if you this is like, for example, my daughter wants to play The Sims. I used to play Sim City back in the day when it originally came out. And you know how you improved your city? You made money. But it's this instant gratification. I know I'm going to be old man yelling at clouds right here. It's that instant gratification that we want to win now. Case in point, made by EA, Sim City, great game. Probably it's a Hall of Fame level video game. Okay. Sim City was a game you played for days, if not months, if not years. I would go, I remember my buddy and I had this game so dialed in, and we had the city built. Wasn't great. We weren't a metropolis. We were a city. We're just a basic city. Had a fire department, a police department, and we went. I remember we set it up and we took off and we went to the fair. Real life. We left his house and went to the Riverside County Fair, and we came back and okay, there was a few things. They had a natural disaster. There was a tornado and some stuff got destroyed. We fixed it and blah blah blah. But we made some money. Okay. We let it sit for a few hours and we made some money and we made some improvements and we went there. And then we saved the game and then we set it on a trajectory and we left it we left the game overnight. We went to bed and we left it overnight. We came back and holy crap, we made a shit ton of money. And that's how you play the games. Nowadays it's like, nope, I got to go put in my mom's credit card and I need 1,400 gold tokens and all this stuff, and it's just like so in less than 15 minutes I can have my metropolis built instead of spending your time and doing it. So like I said, I know I'm going to sound like old man yelling at clouds saying back in my day you had to fucking wait.
To pick up what you said, man, it goes again to this whole thing of like you're putting predatory practices on kids. You're showing it to them like, hey, if you want, you can do all this stuff. It's gonna take you a long fucking time. Knowing our kids that have fucking ADHD up the asshole and shit. Sorry, that's gonna sound horribly wrong, but like you have all these fucking kids have ADD, and so there is so lack of attention and shit, right? But like, yeah, they're marketing to kids. Hey, if you want to beat this now, go to mom and dad's paycheck or credit card. Put in $5, you have this thing here. Oh, you want to look like your favorite character or whatever? These skins, $1.99. Like, bro, like exactly. That's predatory, my guy. You're shilling this shit to kids who don't know better, right? Who don't have like any type of like critical thinking yet established into them to understand that what you're doing is kind of fucked up. It's really kind of fucked up. And so like that's the conversation now that we're having today, that we're having a lot now with like, yo, like, what are you marketing to your kids? And of course, video game companies or publishers will say, oh, well, you know what? That's not our fault. We just put it out there. It's the parents' fault, which, yes, I do agree somewhat. But at the same time, it's like, but you're still not making any type of effect to do this. And I understand the conversation of people saying that, well, I'll do it to do it. You know, I'll pay whatever the fuck I want. Yeah, cool. But you're 20 something now. You make your own money, right? You're not, if someone was doing that shit to, let's say, your 10-year-old sibling, right? Maybe your 5-year-old kid, how would you feel? And so again, man, it's this conversation of just so much DLC, so much shit put in front of you. It's predatory, my guy. These are the Sims.
Exactly right.
The Sims, FIFA, EA, and then you have these fucking these influencers online that make it cool to open up cards and shit, digital cards. I'm like, yo, can y'all have some at least some level of critical thinking or awareness to say, hey man, maybe what I'm doing is gonna affect a lot of kids, and it's not a good look because those kids are gonna grow up to 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds saying that's okay to buy this shit, to spend $15, $50, $100 on digital shit that won't be there anymore next year. And that's just a conversation you need to have, man. Like, we can say that now because we're older.
Yeah.
But yo, it's better to start now. It's better to start when your kids are still kids rather than adults. So,
and I would, like I said, going back, and FIFA kind of does this, and I saw it.
Not kind of, bro. A lot.
No. This is side note.
Okay.
That and this is something that they didn't do before. And granted, internet and technology wasn't available. Was they are running almost daily roster updates. So outside of with me, I play career mode, so the roster is already fucked because I'm 4 seasons in. Is if you're just playing arcade mode and you're like, oh shit, the fucking transfer period just ended, and Ronaldo no longer plays for Manchester United. He's now playing for the El Nassr in the Saudi Arabia League. Well, I want that update, because I can't go in game and just move Cristiano Ronaldo from one team to another. So you run an update free, and it makes all of those run within the arcade mode. Obviously, if you're playing career mode, it's all on you, which, by the way, like I said, that's what I've been playing on Twitch is been playing career mode. I love that. I love that feature. And call me a capitalist, call me, wow, Kevin, you're fucking such an old man. I'm like, no, I love career mode. I loved it in Madden. I loved it. I love it in MLB The Show. It's probably the best in MLB The Show, which I'm super excited about because technically FIFA's exclusivity contract ends this year with EA. They are done. EA, I believe, has a loose contract with Major League Soccer and a few other leagues, but the branding of FIFA ends with FIFA 23. FIFA is going to shop the brand around. It could end up back at EA, but most likely people are saying it's going to end up with 2K, or it's going to end up with the company that does MLB The Show. And I really kind of hope that's the case, because 2K is fucking dumpster fire when it comes to games. But the company that makes MLB The Show is they've done a really good job. And I hope that they, and just as a soccer fan, if they get FIFA, I want them to get everything. And I know that there's exclusivity, like the Italian league. I think one other league has a deal with Konami, and I believe MLS, which is the American Soccer League, Major League Soccer, has a deal with EA, and they're going to remain with EAFC 24, which is the new soccer game that comes out next year.
Here is the thing, the crazy thing, and I hope it happens too. The people who make MLB The Show, owned by Sony.
Yeah, so it'd be
if Sony is able to have the FIFA, it's gonna go to Xbox, because you have to have that type of deal. It's gonna have to go to all platforms. But if Sony does that shit, guess what's gonna fucking happen? They got another cash cow.
But here's the thing, though. MLB The Show is now cross-platform.
Saying,
it is made in-house. You're right. It is made in-house, but it just this past year, MLB The Show 22 went cross-platform. Now I don't know if it went to Xbox. It did go to the Switch. It sucked on the Switch. I mean, it was okay for the Switch, I should say.
The reasoning behind that, and the reason why is because it happens with every single like sports thing. It has to reach every platform. Like the reason why MLB The Show was able to stay on Sony for so long was because because 2K had 2K MLB right for a while, and they stopped making it. Right, I forgot why they made 2K MLB.
Sucked.
Yeah, okay, there you go. And so MLB The Show was able to stay on Sony because it was made by San Diego. It was made by not San Diego. It wasn't made by Santa Monica. It was made by I think Sony San Diego. I think
something San Diego. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so like they made the show for so long, and they're a Sony owned company. If they get FIFA, and I'm okay with if Sony gets FIFA, and they're able to do multiple year maybe multiple year to do this on multiple platforms, I'm okay with it. One of the main reasons why is because that means Sony's getting $1 billion, and they'll offset a lot of things that that Microsoft's been doing by buying a lot of other companies per se.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that, man. That's a good equalizer per se.
Yeah, here's what I hope my wish list for wherever FIFA drops in 24 is.
It's good.
Wherever it drops, they have everything. Yeah. Every league in the world, boom, is on that license, which I know doesn't happen because FIFA only owns FIFA and owns the World Cup and whatnot. But here's the deal: is I hope that every league in the world is attached to this new license deal. Yeah. You have every tournament in the world attached to this license deal. You have players are going to come with the team, but you have every team, every league, every tournament attached to this licensing deal with FIFA 24 and wherever it goes. Because I love realism. Mm-hmm. And what I love about FIFA is the realism of the career schedule is that it's the schedule is ever changing. It's very fluid, very similar to the real life goings on of owning a major soccer franchise. Mm-hmm. And there's a few things that are missing, and I hope that they add, certain tournaments are missing, certain players are missing. Yeah. I wish that, like I said, they kind of have it is like the guy that runs my pro team is also the manager of the Northern Ireland national team, and I'm coming up in a World Cup year where I could qualify for the World Cup. When I went onto a subreddit, I was asking people like, "Hey, I'm in a World Cup year. How do I qualify as a manager of the Northern Ireland national team? How do I qualify for the World Cup?" He goes, "Oh, it's totally random." I'm like, "Well, that's fucking bullshit. Like, I wanted to be part of the game." So like those little things, like, no, I want to be realistic. I want to be able to work my ass off, take over a fledgling national team and qualify them for their conference championship and qualify for the World Cup, and whatnot. So again, memo to FIFA, make that part of your deal for next year. I'm excited to where they end up going. Let us know in the comment section where you think that FIFA will take their license in 2024 or 2023 if they don't remain with EA. Now they have said that they're just not renewing their contract. Yeah. It will end up at EA, but it sounds like EA has moved along.
Yeah. So. Well, I also feel like too, like if they do want it back, EA probably has the money to to buy back the rights to or the license for it.
I really don't think they're going to, and I really think that it's going to end up with a company like MLB The Show. I'm just thinking about gaming from an existing standpoint, and who knows, it could end up with Konami, and Konami could go worldwide. But from what I've heard of people saying that the Konami soccer game that's out there it's not very good. It's not on the same level.
Konami itself, the whole as a video game company, isn't that great either anymore.
No, so. Konami's they haven't been relevant since 1989. But yeah, so let us know in the comment section where you would like to see FIFA, their brand, end up. Also, let us know in the comments what are some of the big misses this gaming season. What are your thoughts on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Kevin,
Yo.
out of all the controversial things you've said this podcast, the biggest one was Konami has been relevant. This is 1989. How fucking dare you, sir? Metal Gear Solid 4 was the best fucking thing of 2005. Goddamn it! 2006. How dare you?
I've said a lot of controversial things.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was in 2006.
I apologize. I associate Konami with old Nintendo games and stuff like that. So.
No, don't get me wrong. Konami now is pretty fucking trash, and especially the way they did, they did the maker of Metal Gear Solid and all the other things involved. But they'll most likely get bought out by somebody, and then But you are correct in certain things of that aspect. They have been relevant since 2018. I'll say that though. But yeah.
So real quick in on this, and this is something we could talk about in a future episode, real quick. And this is don't follow this. For food for thought, Disney of course announced that Bob Iger is coming back on as the CEO. We talked about that last week's episode. He has made it known that he is in no position, nor is he anxious at all to make any quote acquisitions in his 2-year temporary status as CEO. But of course, word got around there was a possibly hostile takeover by Apple to buy out Disney and take them over. That, of course, has been shot down. It should be known that Steve Jobs, of course, the co-founder of Apple Computers, his widow is a board member for the Walt Disney Corporation. Of course, she has Steve's seat on the board of directors. Of course, Steve was a board member when he sold Pixar to the Walt Disney Corporation, and his wife remains as the voting member for the Steve Jobs family. There was that rumor going around. There is talk that Disney may make some acquisitions in the very near future when it comes to gaming. There's a talk that they may be buying Epic Games. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, Disney Interactive has been, for the most part, one of the largest failures in the video game industry over the course of video game history. And so to help produce games for Disney, why not go to one of the ones that makes quick, cheap video games like Epic? So we'll see what happens. That's a rumor going around. This real quick to put a bullet point on the gaming end of our discussion, that Epic Games could possibly get bought out by the Walt Disney Corporation.
Are you still on about the Epic versus Apple thing?
That's it. It's so far gone.
You gotta let that. You gotta let that go. You gotta let that go.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just saying there was topic of conversation that Disney may make some moves to kind of help better certain departments of their business. Obviously, they're going to Bob Iger and the head of the theme park division of Disney are meeting, I think, sometime in the next couple of weeks to make some massive overhaul changes to both the Walt Disney World Resort and the Walt Disney Resort, as well as Shanghai and other Disney resorts around the world. Of course, Shanghai and Hong Kong, I believe, are both back on COVID restriction lockdowns and are closed. So there might be some major changes coming to the Walt Disney resorts around the world. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about those.
Yeah. Let us know too, like, when did Konami fall off, I guess.
Exactly. He is Jared Comic-Kungan, also not Jared Comics 42. Head over to his Instagram page and click on the link in his bio to find out more about his eBay auctions. Boy needs some help with some money. Yeah, I got some of that right here too, dude. I was looking like Chris Evans from fucking Captain America Winter Soldier in the mirror yesterday.
Bro,
I had a fucking gray Under Armour shirt on. I was fucking looking yoked. Not JR yoked, but
I felt great. I benched 365 for two, like 2 days ago, and I benched after that I benched 375 for one, pretty fast. Like, oh, I'm getting to that 405 mark really fast.
Yeah, that's not me, bro. I was bench pressing. You carry the one, it's like maybe to like 100 and 200 pounds or something like that. No, I don't even think that. Like, I think I did the bar plus like 30 pounds. I think I did like 100 pounds or something.
That's still good. That's still good.
Just still dealing with some shoulder issues. But I'm getting back in there. Arms have been pretty good. So Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys. He is Jared Kamakungan. Support him. Go over to his eBay page. Go over to his Instagram page. He has a lot to talk about when it comes to video
Support the
games,
channel.
music. Support it.
Support
You
the
can
channel,
find me at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. Support all of our other platforms. There in the bottom, including Twitter, PS Comics I Love You, PS Comics I Love You on Instagram, PS Comics I Love You on Facebook. Of course, you can find us at PS Comics I Love You on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@PS Comics I Love You. Twitch.tv/PS Comics I Love You. And of course, we're all found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and iHeartRadio.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. We do plan on trying to record at least one more episode this weekend, maybe two. We are for sure going to do some kind of Star Wars-esque episode, which will feature our review of Andor. And then we are going to do a full Phase 4 rundown, including our full review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So yeah, we got that coming up. Hopefully this weekend. Hopefully, schedule willing, this weekend. It may not be Friday night, maybe sometime Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I have some work, unforeseen work complications for Friday night. So
cool.
All right. Thank you, my friend. As always, JR, I'm Kevin. Peace out. Enjoy yourself. And we'll see you when you see you.
Peace.
Peace. And broadcast. Hit the button, Kevin.